Hey there, it's your boy Foxy, back for more relationship stories. Update. I'm feeling a lot of anger about this child of my wife's affair that I've been talked into being a father figure for. Original post. This post is about me, male 39, my ex-wife female 39, our two sons 7 and 9, and the affair my ex-wife had that resulted in the end of our marriage, as well as a third child we'll call Max 5 male. I've been thinking about posting something like this for a few days. I have to admit that reading a recent similar post is the thing that's pushed me to sit down and try to type this out. I think that what I want to talk about is parenting stuff, but I'm going to start by talking about the affair and dissolution of our relationship. My wife confessed to the affair about a week after telling me she was pregnant. So, a week I'd spent excited about what I thought was going to be my child. Turns out, no. It was an emotionally pretty traumatic time. I might have been able to work through the infidelity, but made the ultimatum that she had to end the pregnancy. She was philosophically opposed to abortion, and I knew this. She stuck to her morals in that particular instance, and so I initiated a divorce. She has since married her affair partner. Regarding custody of our sons, there was a period of more conflict and resistance. I took the boys in the initial period of Max's infancy, and in the initial highly emotionally injured state I was in, I sought full permanent custody. But I wasn't likely to be successful, and I was eventually persuaded that despite the breakdown of my relationship with her, that it's in my sons' best interests to have their mother in their lives. Today, to the amazement of everyone else in my life, my ex and I remain cooperating partners in the parenthood of our children. For the last 2 years, we've shared week-to-week custody of our 2 sons. This upcoming school year, Max is going to be old enough to attend the same school, and about a month ago, I got sat down by my ex, her partner, and all 3 boys, and said they all want Max to travel back and forth with the boys each week, and effectively live with me 50% of the time. Seriously. There are some arguments for it, admittedly. The 3 boys are friends and brothers as much as I resent it, so splitting them up regularly does seem like a weird sibling dynamic that could have poor consequences. I'm angry with my ex for broaching the topic with the boys before me, but it's also an entirely reasonable thing for the boys to have an opinion on. I agreed, because what was I supposed to say? No. Why not? I can't say, because I hate that Max exists. So, I said okay. I do hate him. I know he doesn't deserve to be hated. I know he's no more responsible for the circumstances of his conception than any of us. But knowing that doesn't seem to matter. He's a walking, talking reminder of all the worst emotions that I've ever felt. I'm coming to end of his 2nd week staying with us, and the boys, we have moved him into my home and made space for him. I hate the sound of his voice. If he needs help in the kitchen, I am immediately annoyed with no good reason. I'm constantly angered by his limitations that are entirely in line with being a 5-year-old, things I would never get angry with my sons over. I'm short-tempered and just energized with this useless visceral anger. I feel like the last years of my life have been a carousel of humiliations and degradations. The only way I've been able to keep everything together is constantly repeating to myself that pragmatic argument that no matter how authentic my grievances are, and no matter how justified I am in my anger, it doesn't help me or my sons for me to devolve into an embittered rage hermit. Just hold my tongue, breath deep, and force myself to do the thing that will actually help. So I remain in regular contact with their mother, and I talk to her politely on the topics that I have to. Since recognizing that I don't have the legal power to exclude him from my sons' lives, I have been cordial with Max's father. That I've been able to do these things has been the only thing about myself worth feeling good about. But maybe it's not worth feeling good about. Maybe I regret being civil. Because in Max's presence, that pragmatic argument is just not enough. It's like all the anger I've set aside through sheer force of will returns at once and possesses me while I have to talk to him. I thought I was doing the right thing, but if I had remained combative and negative, I never would have ended up in this position. What do I do? I'm constantly thinking I want to back out, to say no, I can't do this, I'm sorry. But how could I justify that? No one else in the situation will be happy with that. The boys certainly don't understand why there would be a reason for them to be treated differently based on their parentage. My oldest has told me so explicitly, in a moment that made me feel both proud of him and ashamed of my own anger. Their mother and her partner would be upset. Part of me doesn't care and bitterly assumes they're just trying to get some free time for themselves out of this, but I'm trying not to dwell on that. My ex makes good arguments that this is in the best interests of all of the children, but part of me just remembers how long she lied to me and how totally I trusted her in that time. It seems like the only thing to do is the same thing I've ever done, suck it up and get over myself and my anger. But if I do that, then I have to actually do that. Even if I'm being a responsible babysitter for Max right now, he deserves to live in a home where he is loved, not merely tolerated. Can I do that? Maybe I can't do that. I'm scared of a path forward where I can't work up the nerve to back out of this arrangement and consign myself to getting over it. And then I actually don't get over it, but rather dwell ever angrier with how my life has turned out and take it out on the undeserving around me. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Are they paying you for babysitting every other week so they can mess all around the child-free house? You have a responsibility to provide for your children, but Max is theirs, and it's supremely messed up for them to do this to you. They are both preying on your weakness to capitalize on free childcare. I can guarantee you that spending 50% of his time with a person who hates him will do worse to Max than having to stay home with his parents while his brothers stay with their father. Yes, the arrangement includes them regularly paying me a substantial and reasonable amount. We've been sharing most childcare expenses already. Your ex is asking too much of you. You need to find a way to end this arrangement, or at least take a break from it while you work through your emotions and figure out how best to move forward. It sounds like you never fully recovered from what your ex did. You should consider counseling or a psychologist for yourself. Max has done nothing wrong. He's a child. However, the circumstances of his arrival in this world ruined your life as you knew it. Having him around is a constant reminder of how your life was impacted. Now your ex is making you accommodate the results of her actions so that she can have her ideal family situation. No, you should not be trying to accommodate her. Your concern should be for your sons only. She needs to handle this herself. It sounds like you never fully recovered from what your ex did. Tell me about it, man. I just said in another comment that I wish I could go no contact with her. It's like despite all of anger and hurt, I've not actually gotten over her, and now I just have to regularly interact with her and watch her be happy, and it just really sucks. They use the kids to get their way. They want a child-free house half the time. Who the heck wouldn't? They took you for an idiot and you proved them right. I'd be angry too. You are under no obligation to raise a kid that is not yours. Your kids will understand and be okay. Tell your ex-wife to go screw herself and deal with this other kid that's not yours. Jesus, grow some balls, man. No disrespect, just telling you what you need to hear. You're a good dude. Too good for your own good. And now for the update. Hey everyone, it's been a few weeks since you heard from me. I guess I'm kind of in a spot to update now. So, my post got a lot of feedback, and it was pretty much unanimous. I heard from lots of people, parents and sons and daughters in blended families, people who'd been cheated on themselves, people who were Max in their own families, and you all told me what I should have been able to admit myself, that this was not normal, that no one had ever heard of an arrangement like this. So I resolved to end the arrangement, and met with my ex-wife and her partner to tell them a few days after I posted, midway through their custody week. Many people advised me to speak to my boys about it first like my ex did to me, but I wanted to deliver the message before having to take Max again. I was thinking that it might be better to instead call them out on that behavior and try to get them to agree not to include the boys in that level of discussion before me, and then we could all sit down with the boys. The meeting did not go well. They were both pretty mad at me. I had tried to prepare for it to be uncomfortable. I told myself just to be polite and firm, that I didn't owe them an explanation beyond "I'm sorry, it's not working out." I guess he had made some career move based on this schedule that I was messing up. In hindsight, I do feel sort of responsible for that frustration, in that I regret agreeing to this arrangement in the first place, but in the moment, I really was not giving a damn about this man's work-life balance. Then, he said something about how I wasn't being fair, that they just wanted a fair custody arrangement. That made me very mad. Thinking about this all to type it out has my heart hammering. I have some different opinions on fairness. I said some pretty crappy, regrettable things to both of them, and then we were all screaming at each other for a while, and then I stormed out and I didn't talk to the boys. I didn't get to talk to my boys for several days until handoff. They immediately were asking about why Max wasn't with them, and I prepared for it, held a more serious talk with them than I had up to this point. I talked about how it's great that they enjoy spending time with Max, but that I'm their father, and that Max has his own father to spend time with. I also talked about how this whole spectacle of our lives is difficult for me, that I don't like having to spend only every other week with them, that their mother's decision to start another family with Max's father and Max still makes me sad. This is pretty awfully difficult stuff to talk about. I've been pretty strict with myself about not venting to my sons about their mother up until now, but effectively that's meant I haven't really talked about her or our breakup at all. If you can't say anything nice, as they say. Trying to maintain that respect for their mother and also talk frankly about my own feelings is a difficult tightrope balance. I don't want to blame their mother, but I also don't want to not blame their mother, if you know what I mean. This would be one of the situations I identify as unfair, where the responsible thing is to never say anything disparaging or poisonous to my sons about their mother, my ex. But that means I have to describe the current state of affairs and what has happened to get here in a way that isn't disparaging to their mother and act like this is normal. She decided. I think I actually did a good job navigating the conversation. My sons absorbed it easier than I expected. A few weeks later, and things with them are basically normal. I have had a few short conversations with my ex since our big embarrassing blow up. I sort of feel like I want her to apologize for this whole thing, but also know that I'm not doing myself any favors waiting for that to happen. I think she remains upset with me, more for the things I said than the rejection of this arrangement with Max. Or maybe that's just projection, because that's what I feel guilty for. I also regret that the last time I spoke to Max was dropping him off before ending the arrangement. I don't know, I guess his mom has explained to him that she missed him too much to have him gone each week, but I don't know how sturdy that story will be. Rereading my last post has me feeling pretty shameful of how I talked about Max. I know he doesn't deserve my sustained ire, and that he's not going anywhere, so I'll have to be able to adjust to his presence. I'm obviously holding on to a lot of anger that is really about my ex-wife, but she isn't obligated to give a damn about that, and I am obligated to interact with her politely. So I guess that anger just got set aside and then vented onto Max, just because he was there in my face, but that was my own fault. So I sort of expect things will pretty much return to normal from here. Contact with my ex is curt right now, but that'll loosen up. Thanks to almost everyone who commented or reached out to me. OP's ex and her husband are shameless. It's not OP's problem that this supposedly messes up the affair partner's new work situation, though I question that assertion. They're already paying OP, so why can't they pay someone else? I think they just really liked having a child-free week every other week, but boo-hoo. Not OP's problem. Maybe affair partner can just explain to his boss that his wife's ex-husband changed his mind about raising the affair baby that broke up his marriage, and now affair partner can't fulfill that new role anymore. I'm sure that will go over just fine. Honestly, this guy did the best he could. Having his ex's affair baby around him would have just led to suffering. The unbelievable gall of those people to even ask that of her ex and to put Max into that situation. Just shocking. It sounds like OP has a history of not standing up for himself, and we know how the worst offenders get when their whipping boy or girl learns how to say no. Just picture the audacity of the ex and her new husband, getting angry that OP won't do their bidding. What a pair of idiots. And the worst part is that, even though OP finally put his foot down in this scenario, he feels guilty for having very normal and reasonable boundaries. He's feeling guilty that he messed up the affair partner's work schedule. Gee, I'll bet that guy doesn't feel an ounce of regret at breaking up OP's marriage. I hope OP finds therapy, because I really think he needs help working through his emotions and figuring out why he doesn't feel like his instincts or boundaries matter. Last story. I, 28 male, am caught between my wife 33 female and mom 42 female on grandchild access. My wife and I have been married for 2 years and are expecting our first child in August. Mom's age is not a typo. She had a very difficult childhood and had me when she was 14. My wife and mom have always had a polite, but somewhat distant relationship since they were introduced. Although I wish they had a warmer relationship, I understand that not all in-laws become close and didn't want to force anything, especially as we live about 1,000 miles from mom, and I am still able to have my own relationship with her. I assume that the main issue is that my wife and mom are fairly close in age, which made things a bit awkward. My wife had previously just said that they didn't click or that she felt awkward around my mom. Despite having me so young, my mom has been a wonderful parent. I know that my origins are unfortunately the result of a violation from an older person, but that when she was pregnant, a friend's parents took us in, which allowed her to finish high school and then attend college. Once she finished college, she was able to get a good job as a financial analyst, and we moved to our own place, and then she was just like any other mom if a bit younger. Our home was always warm and loving. I provide this as background info to confirm that my mom did not engage in any toxic or hurtful behavior. The one issue my mom had was that, because she was focused on trying to figure out how to support and raise me, she did not really deal with the effects of the ordeal she suffered. She did not use substances, but did develop a food addiction and became super morbidly obese, about close to 500 pounds by the time she was in her mid-30s. I was in college by this time. When I was a kid, she gradually got heavier, but I don't remember that it negatively impacted my childhood. Her addiction was more of a private thing, and she did cook healthy, balanced meals and encouraged me to stay active and play sports. I did not and have never had a weight problem myself. When she hit her high weight, mom realized she needed help and finally got the therapy needed to address her trauma. She lost 200 plus pounds over the next couple years and has gradually lost more weight since then, and even took up hiking and walking marathons. Now she is about 225 pounds, which is still obese but not morbidly so. She is 5 feet 10 inches, which means she is technically about 50 pounds overweight, but her medical and therapy team thinks she is in a great place from where she has been. Meanwhile, my wife is pretty anti-fat because her father was overweight and died of a heart attack when she was 12. And now that my wife is pregnant, she is saying she does not want our child to have any relationship with my mom unless my mom loses weight down to a BMI of 25 or less. She says that if something happens to my mom because of her weight, it will be too traumatic, plus she is worried our child will be exposed to an unhealthy lifestyle. I understand my wife's fears, but I think this is very unfair to my mom because 1. My mom's medical team doesn't recommend additional weight loss, and especially would not recommend trying to crash diet and lose 50 pounds in 6 to 7 months to meet my wife's requirement. And 2. My mom does maintain a healthy and active lifestyle as evidenced by her 275-pound weight loss that she has maintained for some years now. My wife isn't budging though, and I don't want to put stress on her and argue with her while she is pregnant as she is having a horrible time with morning sickness. But I know my mom will be heartbroken if she doesn't get to have a relationship with her grandchild. How should I sort this out? Now for the advice. Your wife needs therapy. Banning a relationship with your mom until she's at what your wife considers the correct BMI is just crazy. Yeah, your wife is going to give your kid really unhealthy food issues. Not just for the sake of your mom, but also for the sake of your kid. Your wife's issues need to be addressed. I would agree with this. In my amateur opinion, I would say that the pregnancy has brought back her own unresolved trauma about losing her dad so young, and she is projecting that onto my mom. However, it's an unfair comparison as the situations aren't the same, as my mom has taken steps to address her weight and is working with medical and mental health professionals to do so. Plus, from what my wife has said, her dad was also a 3-pack-a-day smoker, which likely contributed to the heart attack more than weight itself.